Today's learning goal is given a ratio table, I can use what I know about equivalent ratios to fill in missing spaces. Let's take a look at an example from yesterday. Lynn is paid $90 for 5 hours of work. She used the following table to calculate how much she would be paid at this rate for 8 hours of work. In the table, we can see that $90 in 5 hours, and we can see that our first missing number will be the amount of money earned in 1 hour. Now remember, today's objective is using what we know about equivalent ratios to fill in those missing spaces. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out the ratio that I know, and this will be my known ratio. Because I know the ratio 90:5, I can easily find the missing number in the ratio something to 1, my unknown ratio. Remember that equivalent ratios can be multiplied by the same number on both sides or divided by the same number on both sides. In this case, we're moving from a larger ratio to a smaller ratio, which means we'll be using division. 5 divided by 5 equals 1, which means I need to do the same thing to 90. 90 divided by 5 is equal to 18, which means that my missing number is 18. I don't necessarily need to pull the ratios out of the table. I could see here that I was simply dividing both sides by 5, but sometimes it can be helpful just so I can remind myself that I'm working with equivalent ratios. Now, our next ratio is 144 to something. Remember, I can use either of my known ratios, 90:5 or 18:1, to figure out what belongs in the missing space. I'm going to choose to use the ratio 18:1. And the reason is because 18 is a factor of 144. In other words, 18 can be multiplied by a whole number to get 144. So I have my known ratio of 18:1, and I have 144 to something. I know that 18 times 8 equals 144. If that's something that you didn't know off the top of your head, you could always divide 144 divided by 18, just to tell you that the factor is 8. Because I multiplied the right side by 8, I'll also multiply, or because I multiplied the left side by 8, I'll also multiply the right, and my missing number is 8. Today, we'll be working on guided practice and independent practice, both focused on filling in those ratio tables. Be sure to stay focused during these two activities today so you can ace the exit ticket. I'll be asking you to grade your work based on whether you were doing your best to fill in these missing ratio tables using what we know about equivalent ratios.